Hi, it's Dena Tollefson and welcome to my studio. I'm so glad to have you here today. Have you ever been tempted to paint a watermelon, a fresh slice of watermelon? I love to paint watermelon. It's a favorite subject of mine, and in today's demonstration, I'll show you how to paint a fresh slice of watermelon using watercolor. I'll be showing you how to use a salt, resist, and water drop technique, how to layer your colors, and how to create realistic looking shadows using colors other than black. So if you're new to my channel, I welcome you and I hope that you'll subscribe and ring the bell. I'm putting right now on a little bit of Hooker's Green. That's from Holbein. So all these pretty colors that you see here are watercolors that have come from a tube. So you can get your watercolors either in pan form and you add water, or you can get them and squeeze them out of a tube individually, and then you can add additional water on top of that to get them to the consistency that you want and the transparency that you want when you're working. I'm adding now a little bit of French ultramarine. And French ultramarine blue is this is the one from Winsor Newton. It is a wonderful color because it's almost transparent. And what is nice about that is that you can layer and layer and layer, and your colors, you can alternate different colors when you have transparent watercolor. And this blue can create almost a gray color, or it can layer very nicely. I'm now erasing. You can use an eraser if you find that you get color where you don't want it, and then just take a little brush and wipe it off. I'm taking now a little bit of the Permanent Magenta from Winsor & Newton and just making that edge nice and curved and round. Just taking the brush. I'm using a silver brush, which is it's the Black series from Silver. And it's squirrel hair plus a synthetic, has a really nice bounce to it, but also holds a lot of pigment and a lot of water. Now, if you've ever taken a look at your watermelon through the light, you'll see that it's somewhat translucent when the light is hitting it from the side. So if you can try and show that in your painting, I'm working to do that here, getting the effect of the light coming through. And now adding the blue. These blues that you see are a combination of peacock blue from Holbein and turquoise blue from Holbein. And this technique I'd like to just show you here, just dotting on some of the peacock blue, is I'm going to be using a water resist and a salt resist. So first just getting the paper a little bit wet in some spots and then laying on the color. And then by adding, if you wait for it to dry slightly, don't wait for it to dry completely, but just a little bit damp. And then if you put drops of water, just clean, pure water, you can make effects with that, or also add salt. So I'll now put another layer that my yellow is dry of the French ultramarine blue to start to establish a shadow, get that up also on the shadowed side. And a little bit that green that you also saw was a green gold from Winsor & Newton. Now I'm adding these little drops of water to start to get a blooming effect and a dynamic watercolor effect here, just plain water. And I waited for that paint to dry a little bit, and then I can put now on top another effect, which would be a salt resist. So this is, you can use really any salt. This is kind of a chunkier salt, and I had a couple areas that were a little too dry, so I put some mist of plain water on top. And I'm just going to let that salt do its thing and suck some of the pigment over and pull some of the pigment, and it makes kind of a neat effect. Now another layer on top of a, let's see, which one is this one? This is Nuit Gamboge by Winsor & Newton. And so just a process of layering and layering. Now indigo underneath the watermelon to show where we're grounding it. And now thinking again about that slice of watermelon, trying to really get the feeling that light is coming through. We'll put a light layer of Winsor & Newton. This one is Winsor Lemon. And also to put a little bit of Winsor & Newton Winsor Orange along that edge of the fruit. So now I'm taking that hooker's green and putting yet another layer on the shadow side and establishing some of the marks from the rind. I'm also thinking about my seed placement. So on my slice of watermelon, I'm looking carefully at my seeds, and all of the seeds are pointing upright. So when I put those in, I'll be sure to do that. Just a little bit of purple. Since purple is the opposite of yellow, I can do a layer now and I'm just waiting for each of these layers to dry in between. You can use a hair dryer or a heat gun carefully to dry, or just let them air dry. And now coming in with the same color from before, that Permanent Magenta with a lot of water on it, just another granulating layer on top. And then I'm going to be taking a look at that edge of the watermelon. So I'm taking a small amount of white gouache, establishing that cut edge, and come back in with some water on the brush and make that edge more subtle. Some more indigo at the bottom to show that the watermelon is attached to the ground, or to ground the watermelon. And then now I'm taking that peacock blue from Holbein and another layer on top in the shadow side of the fruit. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I really appreciate that you've been here, and I hope that you'll give watermelon a try. And thank you so much for joining, and until next time, this is Dena Tollefson. Bye-bye.